Okay, so in today's lecture, basically we will try to develop a very simple application, and we will name it COVID registration apps for students. Okay, the idea is that we will develop an app from zero to end with a very basic simple feature that a student will, or a teacher or a faculty will have a screen. They will select that whether they are student or teacher. Then they will be given a particular form. They will enter the details within the form and click on register, and their data will be registered on our system. Okay, so that will allow us to know that which student has actually registered or not. Okay, so let's build that particular app in this particular tutorial, a very simple Android app from A to Z. Okay, let's begin. If you're here for the first time, please don't forget to visit my page and subscribe the channel. You will find that on my channel there are more than 500 video lectures based on PHP, Mail scripting, Maya embedded language, 3D graphics, from developing HTML, CSS, JavaScript to working on Android, Photoshop, multimedia technology, and so on and so forth. So these tutorials will be very helpful and very productive for you. So don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell icon, and receive notifications regularly. So once you come here, let's start the Android Studio. Once Android Studio is here, we will go into a new project. And as you know that we have basic functionalities available already here. Now we can create multiple activities, multiple environments. But like I've said, I'm starting with empty activity for now. Okay, so that we understand how we develop everything from scratch. Then in future examples, we will be using bottom navigation. We will be using this drawer navigation, where drawer is basically opening from the left side. Similarly, tabbed navigation, this is again done, and we can mix and match these activities as well. हम अपनी भी ये सारी एक्टिविटीज मैन्युअली बना सकते हैं. ठीक है, तो अब ग्रेजुअली सब चीजें करते चलेंगे. फॉर नाउ मैं स्टार्ट करता हूं मेरे भाई के एक एम्प्टी एक्टिविटी हमारे पास आ जाए. लेट्स गो नेक्स्ट पर आ गए. अब मुझसे ये पूछ रहा है भाईजान कि आप क्या बनाना जा रहे हो. मैंने नाम दे दिया BS सॉफ्टवेयर EVE _ COVID REGIST registration. Okay, so COVID COVID registration की एक हम ऐप बनाते हैं. Now, as we have already discussed, make sure when you are in this particular app, the package name is set to your own particular package. So I will set BS Software Evening, so that I know that this is particular my evening class project package name. Location, same location I've been saving all my projects. Java and then Android Lollipop is what I've been using for all this time. Okay, so we give it a name, package name, we just update it and click on finish. Okay, now once you click finish, we know that Android will start, it will work and create the project and everything for us. Now again, idea is very simple. We create an app. Now when we talk about creating an app, the main thing that you need to understand is that in each app there is no single window. किसी भी ऐप के अंदर एक विंडो नहीं होती. There is no single interface. There are multiple layouts. You click on one option, second option pops. You click on second, third option pops. Then you click on third, fourth option pops up. Similarly, you navigate between various different options within an app. So our object is that how do we create this app? Within Android, these are known as activities. First page, layout 1, activity 1. Next पे मैं गया, layout 2, activity 2. फिर OK पे click किया, तीसरा ऑप्शन आ गया, third activity, which is basically third layout. Okay, so once you want to create and navigate between these multiple frames, multiple layouts, multiple interfaces of user, we are considering them as activities within Android. तो Android के अंदर अगर आप चाह रहे हो कि आपकी एप्लीकेशन को जिस तरीके से काम करे कि उसके अंदर मल्टीपल यूजर इंटरफेसों में ओके करूं तो नेक्स्ट पे जाए, फिर ओके करूं तो नेक्स्ट पे जाए, फिर मैं डेटा दूं, फिर सेव करूं तो फिर मेरे पास मींस स्क्रीन आपकी जो एप्स के अंदर तब्दील होती रहती है. Technically, this is considered as what we refer to as our activities. One second. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. नहीं मैडम, मैं अभी बहुत बिजी हूँ क्लास में. ठीक है, मैं 2 hours अभी मेरी क्लास है, उसके बाद फिर आप पढ़. थैंक यू, ठीक है जनाब. सो हमने बेसिकली ये चीज, एक सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट पहला तो ये था दैट इन एंड्रॉइड इन ऑर्डर टू हैव मल्टीपल लेआउट्स एंड मल्टीपल विंडोज, हम उसको नाम देते हैं एक्टिविटीज का. सो इन ऑर्डर टू क्रिएट मल्टीपल एक्टिविटीज, आपको मल्टीपल लेआउट्स क्रिएट करने के लिए मल्टीपल एक्टिविटीज बनानी पड़ती. यू नीड टू क्रिएट मल्टीपल एक्टिविटीज. सेकेंड, when you click on a particular button to load that new window, to show that new window or an activity, as we now call it within Android, basically we need something called an intent. We work on something called intents. Now, intents are classes within Java for Android that allows us to navigate and switch between activities and talk to activities. So using intent class, we transfer from one activity to another activity. Active intents are something that are responsible for talking to and transferring control from one activity to second activity. तो एक स्क्रीन से दूसरी स्क्रीन में जाने के लिए हम एक इंटेंट का इस्तेमाल करते हैं. We use intent to shuffle between various different activities. An intent is invoked on a button press. So whenever user presses an action, an intent is triggered, which then switches to a different activity. That's the basic logic of it. Okay, I will demonstrate that in this particular example. So what we do is we come to our activity main class, and let me just minimize this to a certain next point. Okay, so now as you can see, we already have this components, basic segments are available, and everything is okay, beta, please switch off your mics for now so that you don't make any issues. Okay, now let's come back to here. So when we start our app, we know something by default hello world is always created. हमने इसको कर दिया delete. First thing we do is I change the layout. We have been talking about constraint layouts for a long time now. This time I need to change this to something else. Something else के लिए मैं layouts में आ गया, तो यहाँ पे there are multiple different layouts available. Constraint है, linear layout है, frame है, table and table row and spaces. We will talk about these 4 layouts later on. For now, we will be talking about something called linear layout. लीनियर लेआउट बेसिकली एक लीनियर लेआउट के तौर पे काम करता है. इसके दो चीजें, एक हॉरिजॉन्टल, एक वर्टिकल. वर्टिकल मींस यू ले योर कंपोनेंट्स ऑन टॉप ऑफ ईच अदर. हॉरिजॉन्टल मींस आप अपने कंपोनेंट्स को सीक्वेंशियली ऑर्गेनाइज करो. तो व्हेन वी सीक्वेंशियली ऑर्गेनाइज कंपोनेंट्स, वी यूज समथिंग कॉल्ड हॉरिजॉन्टल लेआउट. वर्टिकल मींस हम एक दूसरे के ऊपर कंपोनेंट्स को ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं. सो in order to use this, what I will do is I can come here, delete the constraint layout. Okay, sorry, if you delete it, see this, it's giving me nothing here. You cannot delete it. You need at least one layout within your Android code. Now to change this from constraint to linear, we need to go into our code. Code में आने के बाद what I will do, let me just increase. You will find that there is a code written here, android.constraintlayout.widget. इस पूरे को मैंने किया भाईजान select, यहाँ से यहाँ तक. Once you select it, now just simply type in linear. As soon as you type linear, your linear layout will pop up. Press enter. As soon as you do that, you will note in your component tree linear layout has been created and the code has been updated to ensure that you are now working in your linear layout. तो आपका linear layout आ गया. Linear layout अभी इस time horizontal है, ठीक है, means components आपके जो है वो इस तरीके से stack किए जाएंगे. What I need is I need in this vertical manner. So again I will go back inside my code. Inside this code unit के यहाँ से block start किया, XML का code है, यहाँ पे block end हुआ इसका. यहाँ पे आने के बाद मैं इसको कह दूंगा Android, बल्कि Android भी लिखने की जरूरत नहीं, आप सिर्फ लिख दो orientation, ठीक है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली Android/orientation आ जाएगा. You click on this orientation and it will ask you कि आपको horizontal चाहिए vertical. मैंने कह दिया भाईजान vertical कर दो, बस. तो Android:orientation is equal to vertical. This is the line we add in our code for the XML design. So now automatically this has been converted into a vertical layout. Okay. अब vertical layout का जादू क्या है? Let me explain in a moment. Vertical layout क्या करता है कि if I go inside the text और मैं for example बटन उठाता हूँ, एक बटन उठाया, ड्रॉप किया, तो एक बटन देखो ऊपर आ गया. मैं दूसरा बटन उठाया, ड्रॉप किया, तो दूसरा बटन ऑटोमेटिकली उसके नीचे आ गया. फिर तीसरा टेक्स्ट फील्ड उठाई, ड्रॉप की, तो टेक्स्ट फील्ड उसके नीचे आ गए. फिर पासवर्ड उठाया, ड्रॉप किया, पासवर्ड उसके नीचे आ गया. So what happens is that each component is automatically organized in a linear stack manner. This becomes very convenient and very easy जब आपके पास एक बहुत सिंपल सा मेन्यू सिस्टम बना हुआ, ठीक है. जितना कॉम्प्लेक्स आपका एनवायरनमेंट होगा उसके लिए फिर हम कंस्ट्रेंट लेआउट को प्रेफर करते हैं. लेकिन अगर सिंपल लेआउट आप बना रहे हैं फॉर्म के तरह का, तो बेसिकली लीनियर लेआउट वर्क्स वेरी इजी. बड़ा आराम से सारी झंझट दूर करके आपको बना के दे देते हैं, ठीक है, अब हम बना रहे हैं कोविड ऐप. वी नीड टू क्रिएट अ कोविड ऐप. फॉर अ कोविड ऐप व्हाट आई विल डू इज आई विल कम इनसाइड माय गूगल. हियर लेट मी सर्च इमेजेस डॉट गूगल. यहाँ पे आने के बाद कोविड बैनर कोई सर्च कर लेते हैं. ठीक है, तो कोविड-19 पेंडेमिक, ये बड़ा अच्छा सा बैनर आ गया मेरे पास. मैंने कहा यार मुझे इसी को इस्तेमाल करना है. मैं सेव एज इमेज की और लेट मी गो इनसाइड माय डी ड्राइव. यहाँ पे मैंने एक फोल्डर बनाया हुआ था किसी जमाने में एंड्रॉइड क्लास का. यहाँ पे इमेजेस का मैंने एक फोल्डर बनाया हुआ है. यहाँ पे कोविड बैनर, आई विल सेव दिस पर्टिकुलर बैनर. ओके, सो आई हैव सेव्ड दिस इमेज हियर. Now I go back inside my Android, I go back inside the widgets. Let me drag and drop the image here. It will ask me, where is your image? I don't have the image right now, so मैंने इसको किया cancel. I go back inside my code level. I will search for those image folder and I have a COVID banner. Let me Control C, copy this, come back into Android, go into your resource folder, open it inside your drawable, right click or just simply Control V, paste it. As soon as you paste it, it will confirm which folder you want to save it in. Make sure you always select drawable, not drawable 24 version. Then it will ask you, do you want to rename it? Make sure it is renamed with without any spaces. It's recommended कि आपकी file के अंदर there should not be any spaces. Click OK. Once you do that, your image has been created. Okay, it gives us an error. I think it's because of this dashes. Minus का जो sign है, sometimes it creates problems. So I will refactor. इसी के ऊपर right click किया, refactor में जाके rename में चले गए. And let me just remove these dashes to underscores. Okay, and then refactor. Refactor means make all the changes, and now you see that error has been removed. So file name must be as per Android standard. No spaces, no minus or some kind of wildcards should be inside your image. Just simple pure alphanumeric better. Again, I will go into widget, drag and drop. Let me put it here. Okay. Once I put it here, now my COVID image is here. Let me just double click on this. My COVID banner is here. Now, because I'm using linear layout, it is automatically organized at the top. I can increase its size to a certain point. If you want, you can leave it to that point as well. Once you are here, now what I need certain buttons. Okay. So you can use this thing. So I can come here and student button. I search for that. And here you go. So you see this, I have a very nice icons available. So I can say, okay, I want to use either this or this. So let me use this one. So I click on this, right click, save image as, and I can say student, student, save it. Then I can say teacher button. Okay. And then now we have a teacher button. Let me go and see. Where's the teacher button gone? ये भी हो सकता है, but ये इतना खास नहीं लग रहा. Instead, let's just use teacher icon, BUTT1 button. And now you get a better, see this? So I can use any of this for me because we previously used a square one. So I think let's find a square one. Maybe this one would be fine, right? So let's just click on this and this is giving me an brum logo. The copyright aa raha hai. I don't want to use a copyright image for this purpose. Maybe this logo I can use. Okay, so let me just save this image as, and for this let me name it teacher. So I have now created two buttons, teacher and student. That should do the trick. Next I will come inside my folder, go inside the student, right click, go on to edit and go into the select. In your MS Paint, just make sure you select a given area, hit a crop and then save it. So all other unnecessary components are automatically removed. Similarly, I will come here, select the teacher, right click and I will say edit. Once I have the teacher, what I can do is okay, let's do one thing. Let's just select this teacher and bring it here and oops. Control A, Control C, Control V. I need a Photoshop for this purpose. Okay. Basically, I wanted that teacher to appear inside this so that they both look exactly like same. So we can do that, but let's do it later on. For now, let me teacher. I think it seems okay for me. and I will leave it to this particular point. Okay, I will open Photoshop and I will edit this later on. So once we are here, again, I will select image and I will drop an image, but I have not imported the image inside my drawer, so this image is not being found. So I will come back here, go inside here, right click, Control C on both of these. Android, drawable, Control V. Yes, inside the drawable. Okay. Yes, the name should be okay. And you will find both these images are here. Now I will load the widget student, and let me go and select the student first. Click OK. So you notice the student logo is there. Then again, image, drop it here, and then I can say teacher and click OK, and the teacher logo is here. Let's just reduce the file size so that it becomes little less, and maybe increase this so they both appear on the same. Okay, so they both appear now. So I have a simple menu here. Let's just click on text and okay, so now we have placed the text field in between. Now the beauty of linear layout is that as soon as I place the linear text in between, वो automatically adjust करके उसके दरमियान में ले आएगा और layout set हो जाएगा. अब इस text field को select करते हुए I will scroll down. Let me say this should be, for example, 20 SP points. Okay, तो थोड़ा सा font बड़ा हो गया. Let me make it bold and center so that it appears at the center. Okay. Similarly, we can say this should be, for example, select student student, and another below this teacher mark. Oops, not here. Click and drag and enter here. Same thing. I will just write SELECT select TES teacher, and font size would be 20 SP. Make it bold and center. Oops. Okay. So now we have a simple front screen that as soon as my app starts, I have a select student, select teacher available. Once I have these two options available, now if student is selected, it should go to the student registration. If teacher is selected, it should go to the teacher registration. Okay, because both have different basic requirements. The student would have a roll number, teacher would not have a roll number, and then maybe we can have a department or whatnot. So now this one screen has been created for us, and you see it's so wonderful and easy. If you understand the basic concept, you can create app very easily, simple apps at least very easily. So once this is created, this is one activity. This is one activity that has been created. Now we need the second activity, that what should happen when I click any of these screens. Okay, so let's go and create the second activity first, and then we will come back and add the button event to trigger and load the second activity. So now what I do is that in order to create the second activity, you would have to come into Java. Now this second activity means second layout, second window, that once I click on this student, another window should pop up. Which window should that be? So I would say, okay, let's go inside Java, right click, new, and at the bottom you find activity, and we will create the various activities. Again, you can create any of these activities that we see at the front end. I will start with empty activity as always. So I click on empty activity. Now it asks me what should be the activity name. Okay, so I will say activity, let it be activity underscore student student. So I know this is my student activity. Generate a layout file. Yes, I need a layout file for that. So leave it checked. Layout name should be activity student. Launch our activity. Filal, we are not talking about that. We will talk about this later on. So leave it unchecked. All other things should be default. Click finish. Okay. So as soon as you do that, you will notice now two more files have been created. Both are considered as an activity student.java and activity student.xml. Okay. Let it load, and automatically it will take few seconds. Once it is done, you will find all errors are gone. Now activity student and activity student.java. Just like previously, we had activity main and main activity.java, two XML and Java files. Same thing for this thing. So if you go inside student activity, you again get an empty screen and a Java file that will deal with this empty screen code. So now basically means we have screen 1, we have screen 2. Similarly, we can have many screens that you want to work with. Now what we need to do is very simple, design the second screen. What you want to do on this second screen. Same thing, I will still like to work with the linear layout. I don't want to use constraint layout, because sometimes constraint layout for a simpler layout creates more confusion. In this case, this was just a simple layout. Linear works beautifully. All argument components are linearly organized. Okay. The only thing is these icon size are different. I have opened Photoshop. I will adjust the size of icons in Photoshop so they all look perfectly nice and well. So I open the second. Again, I will do one same thing. Image view. Let me, but before we go inside the image view, I don't want to use constraints. So let's change it. So in order to change constraint layout, again we go inside the code where we have this written with this entire line android.constraint layout.widget. All this just remove and write LINER and linear layout will pop up. So I select linear layout, the code will automatically get updated. Oops, something else happened. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. And yes, so if I remove this, I will use linear layout. Why there is an, okay, now we don't need this line. So we just remove it. We go back here and give a backslash. So now it's all fine. Okay. So we remove the concern line. Sometimes it's automatic remove it. In this case, it wasn't. I don't know why. And then we will just write orientation and Android or orientation pops up and we will say vertical. Okay. So this is the line that we added manually to ensure that we have a vertical or layout. So if I come back into design view, you will find we have linear vertical layout. Okay. Now image drag and drop, and I will again select the COVID-19 banner. So this banner is already there for me. Let me reduce its size. Well, let's just have the size set to this point. Okay. So once this size is set, now basically I need certain heading. So maybe I can say text view. And in this text view, let me give a text, enter STUD student vaccination record. Okay, so this thing is done. So let me scroll down. 14, I usually prefer 20 SP. So we increase the 20 SP. Let's just make it bold and centralized. And if you want, let's just correct the spelling. Vaccination space record. Okay, so enter student vaccination record. Now this is simply what we need. So now I will say enter name. This text field is here. I will just use, for example, 14 SP and say name. Okay. And then I will add a from within my text field plain text below it, where I will be required to give my name, then plain text. Okay. This plain text will be, for example, after name, I can have my roll number. And again, I will make this 14 SP. Now I just have to create the components. Sorry. Okay. So if you zoom into it little bit, you will find name, roll number, and then plain text is basically created below the roll number. This time it will have text, not name, but roll number. Okay. Obviously, if you don't want, you can remove this text as well. So if I select name, this text is by default written. If you don't want it, just remove it. Fine. After name, roll number, let's just create one more blank text here. And this should be, for example, your department, which department you belong to. So let me just have a plain text right now. So I'm just adding few text fields. Maybe later on we can add a combo box here so that they can select a certain departments or faculties from within the list. Okay, so you can do that as well. For now, just leave it as it is. So we don't want to go into too much detail. So I just remove this thing. I select the department name and make sure this is also 14 SP so that it's more readable. I think they are very small. So let's just increase the size. Make it 18 SP. Name. Yes, this is better. Roll number should also be 18 SP. Oops. 18 SP, and department should also be, oops, 18 SP. Okay, so they are more readable now. After that, I think plain text one more time, and I just need one more menu. This can be my vaccination date. And I can use again 18 SP. And then I can use a date field instead of just simple date. So drag and drop the date here so that only date is given in this particular layout. You can use something called calendars. If we don't want to go into too much detail right now, I don't know directly we have available or we need some widgets for that particular purpose. I think this should do the trick. So vaccination date, I use the date text field. After vaccination date, let me just drop one more menu and I will say vaccination name. Okay, so which vaccination you got? Again, scroll down. So now basically we are just creating the menu that we want to display to the user. So all that requires is that we do that. And using linear layout, because these are supposed to be a linear menu, it becomes very easy to manage. Okay, and then again, I will just remove this name field here. You can give a tooltip here, for example, name of vaccination, RECIE received. So which vaccination you got, please provide that name. So this becomes like a tooltip, like a helper. As soon as you click on it, the text will disappear. Same thing I can do here is in terms of hint, I can write that information like I've did here on hint vaccination name. I can say date you got, you got vaccinated. Okay, so it becomes a little bit helpful. You want to read with that. Finally, plain text one more time, drop it at the bottom. So they are all organized in a nice way. And I think vaccination number. And this would again be 18SP. That should do the trick. And final, the number is supposed to be a numeric. So I will come inside this number tab, again inside text, drag and drop the number here. Okay, so the number text is here and I can enter hint vaccination vaccination card number. Okay, so my vaccination card number is there. And then finally, let me just add a button and click add the button at the bottom. And this button should be a little bit thicker, so it has more apparent text to it. And where's the text? Vertical, match, vertications, alpha, all attributes. If you scroll down, okay, I have not selected the button, that's why. Yeah, there we go. So submit RECORD record. So I click on the submit record button. The font size can be, for example, 30SP. Make it bold, bro. Submit record button is there. So I enter my data. I click on submit button. The data is sent. So both of my venues are now created. Okay, very simply, very easily. Before we go further, again, always keep an eye on your component tree. If you see these red icons, means there's an error in this code. So if you hover your code over it, it will give you a tooltip. It says touch target is too small. Click the badge for details. If I click on the badge, it says the size of this text is too small for your screen and it might not be easily selectable. So what you need to do is you need to fix it. So just click on fix it and it's fixed. So if I click on this, it says the item may not have label readable by screen reader. So it doesn't have a label, which should be, for example, glum at the top. I think, let me hide these all attributes because they sometimes do confuse. And where is the hint? Okay, here is the hint. Your university roll number. Okay, so see this, it's all now done. Now if I click on this one again, says height is too small. So if you click on fix, you will note at one point it will increase the minimum height to 48 pixels. You can even increase it larger than that as well. So if you need it for a larger, you can do that. Similarly, if I come back here again, it has this thing. Ignore this, check if it is false positive. No label here. So it's not an error, but it says that you should give an error. So I can say enter your name or full name. Okay. Department, again, if I double click on it, let me click size, and hint will be your CU current DEP department, which you belong to, and my data is all clear. Click on this thing, all fixed, all fixed. This editable text, again, if I click on this, size is too small, and I fixed it. Double click on this, size is again too small, click on fix. So keep an eye on this one thing. Android Studio has a fantastic tool that it will automatically fix your errors if you know that this is an error and it should be fixed. तो इससे हम बड़ी आराम से ना अपने सारे मसले हल कर सकते हैं. Unlike in Java, Python, हमें आधा घंटा errors निकालने में लग जाता है. Android Studio tells us very easily what is the error. So just understand कि okay, there is an error, nothing to worry. Click on it. There will be helps one way or another within Studio to solve your errors. तो हमने वो error solve करना है बस, और कुछ issue नहीं है. Once you do that, now my application is created. Let me just close this. This app is, see this very easily, quickly मैंने बातों बातों में सारी ऐप बना दी. Okay, enter student name, spelling गलत है. Let me just correct this. STUDENT, student vaccination record. मेरी ऐप बन गई. अब come back to main activity. So this is my main activity. This is my second student activity. Teacher, I will create. Now what I need, as soon as I click on student, it should take me to this activity on a mobile phone. Simple as that. So we go on to our main activity. Okay, once we are within our main activity, now here we need to write the code that will allow us to switch between our activities. Okay, so what we do is I come here. We already have on create event, so let's just utilize it. So scroll down. One habit is we use a button, BTN STUDENT. Okay, so as soon as I write a button, it gave me an error. It says that there's an error here. Select this error, press Alt Enter, and the error will be resolved. Import class. Click on this, and the class has been imported. So we are using button class, and it says that you need to import this statement. If this statement is not there, it will give an error. And as soon as you hover your cursor over it or click on this button, press Alt Enter, a tooltip will appear. Solve it. Simple as that. Then within the onCreate event, within the boundaries of onCreate event, let's just write a code to create that event. Now, before that, in previous class, we used something called a simple function that was called on click. कि जब user button पे click करे तो एक function call हो जाता था. तो वो अब technically इतना मुनासिब तरीका नहीं है. उसके बरक्स हम एक something कहलाते हैं listener class को call करते हैं. Listener class क्या करता है कि it listens to certain events. So for example, in this case, an image के ऊपर मुझे listener लगाना है कि जब user उस image के ऊपर click करे तो उसके नतीजे में क्या हो. ये मैं बटन के ऊपर कर सकता हूं, इमेज के ऊपर कर सकता हूं, टेक्स्ट के ऊपर कर सकता हूं, किसी भी कंपोनेंट के ऊपर हम इस चीज को लगा सकते हैं. नो प्रॉब्लम विद दैट. तो मुझे इमेज के ऊपर लगाना है कि जब मैं इमेज पे क्लिक करूं तो कोई इवेंट परफॉर्म हो. तो उस इवेंट को टेक्निकली हम कहते हैं कि वी नीड टू लिसन टू दैट पर्टिकुलर इवेंट. उसके लिए व्हाट आई डू इज, सबसे पहले आई विल से बटन स्टूडेंट इज इक्वल्स टू फाइंड बाय आईडी. ठीक, r.id. अब क्या चीज ढूंढूं मैं, मुझे वो स्टूडेंट वाला आइकॉन चाहिए जिसको मैं ढूंढ के यहाँ पे ले आऊं. बिकॉज आई वांट दैट व्हेन द यूजर कम्स हियर, he clicks on this student button, then certain event should occur. Got it? So what I will do, I will come here and let me name this as button STUDENT student. It says refactor, rename it. I said yes, let's rename it. So this has been renamed. Okay, similarly this is button teacher, so I will just say BTN TEACHER. Now technically yes, we have used image here, लेकिन मैं अपनी सहूलत के लिए इसको बटन बना रहा हूं ताकि मुझे पता है कि वो बटन के तौर पे काम करेगा. ठीक है, इमेज, ये भी इमेज है लेकिन इसके नाम फिलहाल हमें जरूरत नहीं है. ये एज ए बटन के तौर पे बिहेव कर रहा है, तो मैं एक इमेज को बटन बना सकता हूं, साड़ी मर्जी. तो हमने एक इमेज को बटन बना दिया, तो मैंने नेम भी बटन दे दिया. सो आई नो दैट बटन इज गोइंग टू बी क्लिक. सो नाउ व्हेन आई गो बैक इनसाइड माय main.java activity class, inside here r.i. if I write button, I get these two buttons. Which button do you want to trigger the event for? I said button student and then semicolon. So now my code will say that, okay, we need to go into button. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Unexpected implicit cast to button layout tag was image view. Okay, so this basically has to be image view. Now it's all okay. Okay. Because technically मैंने button इस्तेमाल नहीं किया था. I have not used button here. I've used an image. So it gave me error that you are using a code for button. However, this is an image view. Again, see this. It corrected me right away. So that's the beauty of Android. It will help you a lot. So use Android's own mechanism of finding errors. Once you are done here, now hopefully it should work to a way I want to do. So I write button student dot set on click listener, this one. Okay, so now I want on click listener. So this basically means that I create an image view because I've created an image view there. यहाँ भी हमने image view इस्तेमाल की. Image view क्यों इस्तेमाल की? क्योंकि भाई ये तो image है ना, तो ये भी image view का हमने icon बनाया था यहाँ से, but image widgets में से जाके image view. तो मैं वही कह रहा हूँ कि यार, this is my image view in my activity. In my main, fetch that image view icon, save it inside this variable called button student. So this image view will be returned, or so this image view will be returned here and saved in this button student variable. Now I say button student dot set on click listener. तो पहले उस आइकॉन को व्यू में से लेकर आए, उस इमेज को व्यू में से लेकर आए यूजिंग फाइंड व्यू बाय आईडी फंक्शन. फिर हमने उसको कहा कि भाई ऑन क्लिक लिसनर लगा दो इसके ऊपर, कि जैसे यूजर क्लिक करे तो उसको लिसन करे कि इस पे क्या हरकत हो रही है. तो हमने इमेज व्यू के ऊपर ऑन क्लिक लिसनर फंक्शन लगा दिया. अब इस फंक्शन की कुछ अपनी ही रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं. क्या रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं? वो ये कहता है कि पहले लिखो न्यू, फिर लिखो आप व्यू ऑन क्लिक लिसनर. ठीक, जैसे ही आपने ये किया, 2-3 लाइनें खुद ब खुद ऐड हो गई. अब हमने क्या किया था? पहले सेट ऑन क्लिक लिसनर बनाया, उसके अंदर एज ए आर्ग्यूमेंट के तौर पे मैंने न्यू व्यू लिख के एंटर मारा, तो ऑन क्लिक लिसनर व्यू ऑन क्लिक लिसनर एक मेथड ऐड हो गया. और साथ ही साथ ब्रैकेट स्टार्ट हुआ, ब्रैकेट खत्म हुआ, सेमीकोलन. ये फंक्शन टेक्निकली यहाँ पे खत्म हो रहा है सेमीकोलन का. ये क्या हुआ? हमें पता है कि जावा के अंदर न्यू इज यूज्ड फॉर क्रिएटिंग अ न्यू ऑब्जेक्ट. बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट, we have already discussed that. So what we have done here is this is mechanism called creating a runtime anonymous object. तो यहाँ पे हमने क्या किया भाई कि हमने कहा एक इमेज लो, व्यू में से इमेज ले आओ, व्यू में से हमने इमेज लेकर आ गया. व्यू में से हम इमेज लेकर आ गया. Once we fetch that image, we said on that image assign an action listener, on click listener. So when a user clicks on it, listener means that it would perform a certain task. So we are listening to an on click event. Event means something that is happening by the external force. So a user as an external force, he will click on that button. So an event is triggered. So monitor that event. As soon as it happens, then generate a runtime class called new online on click listener, and certain code is written, and on this code there is automatically on click event written. Now inside this we will write our code. Okay, but let's first test this. So I will use the alert toast dot make test. We have been using this, but this time I will be using something called get application context, get application context, comma BUTT on button, CLICK STUDEANT student, CLICKD clicked, and comma toast dot length short dot show. Now this is the method that we have been using previously as well. Toast is like an alert message. So in JavaScript we use alert method that pops up an alert on a browser window. Similarly, toast is something that generates an alert message on your Windows screen. Make text, create a text. Here we use get application context. Previously we used this because we use this in a directly its own method, but now we are calling this toast method from a runtime anonymous class. This is a runtime event that will be created. So when user clicks on it, an event listener will at the runtime create a new class called action listener. It will have a method called on click. That method will execute its task and then vanish away, destroy itself. So on the runtime, हमने एक क्लास बना के उसके मेथड को कॉल करके एक्शन परफॉर्म कराया. तो जो ही यूजर इस बटन पे क्लिक करेगा, As soon as the user clicks on the button, at the runtime, a new class is created called view.onClassListener. Method is executed and an event is performed. And then that class is destroyed. Okay, I hope it really makes sense. Now, this is something that we should have done in Java, creating new runtime classes and that. So I will not go into details of how these runtime classes work, or anonymous classes sometimes as we call them, how they should be created and work with. Okay, our task just basically follow this code and create a pop-up message. Let's just run this code to see if everything is fine or not. So what this will do, it will go compile, build and run. And as soon as I click on that particular image, it will give me a message for now called alert. Once this is done, our code is all set. Then we will create something called intent. Now, the idea is that as soon as I click on student, this main activity is transferred to the activity of a student. So as soon as I click on a student, that student main activity is deloaded and a new activity is loaded. A new window pops up. So we set that by using something called intent. We do that by something called intent. Intent allows us to control activities. Intent allows us to talk to various different activities. Okay, and we will be using intent a lot. For now, we are using intent to switch between two different activities. Launch successful. Let's come back here, wait for the app to start, and here we go. Wonderful, beautiful little app. So as soon as I click on student, button student clicked. So that means my event and this image is working as a button. Giving animations and effects, a secondary issue. Nothing is happening here on a button. As soon as I click, button is clicked. You see this pop-up message. Means it's working. Now let's just come back into main activity. Now, how should I switch from this activity to this activity? So I said we use something called intent. Okay, and SWIT, or in fact, load STUDENT, student activity. Okay, so we create a variable called load student activity is equals to new intent is created. Okay. Now, as hopefully you should have already noted that as soon as we wrote intent and press enter, an intent import was automatically included. So if you get an error here, again, make sure you need to import the intent. So just hover your cursor over it, press Alt enter. It will tell you that import this line. 90% it does automatically, but still if it doesn't, make sure it is imported in your line. Once this import statement is done, now come back inside the intent. And this time I will use something called get application context, comma, what was our activity name? Activity student dot class, semicolon. Okay, now what's an intent? Intent is a Java's class name. Java की बनी बनाई class है भाई. ठीक, इस क्लास का काम क्या है कि वो मुख्तलिफ एक्टिविटीज के दरमियान में बातें करती है, मुख्तलिफ इंटेंट एक्टिविटीज के दरमियान कोऑर्डिनेशन और उनके दरमियान डेटा ट्रांसफर करने में हमें काम आती है. So we use intent to switch between activities and do various different tasks. So here we had said intent load student activity, मैंने अपना नाम दे दिया भाई, कोई टेक्निकल नाम नहीं है, मैंने अपना नाम दे दिया इसको. फिर न्यू जावा का कीवर्ड है, न्यू इंटेंट, इस क्लास का ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया हमने. इस ऑब्जेक्ट को हमने कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल में दो आर्गुमेंट पास किए. पहला आर्गुमेंट गेट एप्लीकेशन कॉन्टेक्स्ट, जो चीज मैंने यहां पे यूज की थी. यहां पहले दूसरे एग्जांपल्स में प्रीवियसली वी हैड यूज्ड दिस वर्ड. Here we have used get application context because we are calling this from a new runtime class. So we are telling it get current application in which this system is running, this code is running, get the actual context of that code. कि जहां पे ये कोड अभी चल रहा है, जिस एप्लीकेशन की वजह से ये लाइन चल रही है, वो ही एप्लीकेशन का रेफरेंस ले आओ भाई, उसी एप्लीकेशन उसी प्रोजेक्ट को ले आओ, किसी और को मत ले आओ. ठीक है, बिकॉज आई एम रनिंग अ रन टाइम. सो दिस इज अ वे ऑफ पॉइंटिंग टू योर सेल्फ. मैं अपने आप को बात कर रहा हूं भाई, दो केक लाओ, एक मेरे लिए और दूसरा भी मेरे लिए, एक मैं हूं दूसरा भी मैं हूं. बात समझ आई? सो वी आर रिफरिंग टू अवर ओन सेल्फ. तो यहां भी हम वही हरकत कर रहे हैं. गेट एप्लीकेशन कॉन्टेक्स्ट बेसिकली मीन दैट वी आर कॉलिंग अवर सेल्फ बट इंश्योरिंग दैट वी ओनली कॉल अवर सेल्फ. ऐसे नहीं कि मैंने कहा दो केक ले आओ, एक मेरे लिए और दूसरा कोई और खा गया. बात समझ आई? देयर कैन बी मल्टीपल एप्स रनिंग एट द सेम टाइम इन एंड्रॉइड. सो वी नीड टू इंश्योर दैट वी यूज दिस इंटेंट गेट एप्लीकेशन कॉन्टेक्स्ट. फिर उस एक्टिविटी का नाम जिसको आपने लोड करना है, डॉट क्लास क्या हुई, अब हमें पता है कि हम डॉट जावा फाइल पे काम कर रहे हैं। जावा फाइल जब कंपाइल हो जाती है ना, डॉट क्लास फाइल बनाती है, जावा के अंदर हमने पढ़ा होगा। सो व्हेनेवर वी कंपाइल अ जावा कोड, इट टर्न्स इनटू अ डॉट क्लास बाइट कोड फाइल. So this is basically calling that Java class file that go inside activity student.java, but not Java, it's class file, and load that class file. Once that file is loaded, now we need to execute it. To execute it, we say borrow start the activity, and name of that activity is load student activity. Now we call the function. अब start कर दो activity भाई, intent का ताल्लुक बन गया हमारी दूसरी activity के साथ। अब उस एक्टिविटी को शुरू करो। शुरू करने के लिए हमने मेथड कॉल किया स्टार्ट एक्टिविटी। वंस दिस मेथड इज एग्जीक्यूटिंग, वी टेल इट भाई कौन सी एक्टिविटी के साथ आपका इंटेंट बना हुआ है। हमने कहा हमारा इंटेंट भाई इसके साथ बना हुआ है, स्टूडेंट वाली के साथ। हमने कहा स्टूडेंट वाली को लोड करो। हमने यहाँ पे आए, इस बटन को किया है एग्जीक्यूट। लेट्स वेट फॉर दिस गाय टू रन एंड रीलोड दिस ऐप। नाउ व्हाट शुड हैपन, देन आई क्लिक ऑन दिस, द स्टूडेंट एक्टिविटी पेज विल लोड, बिकॉज वी हैव गिवन इट एन इंटेंट कि भाईजान आपने उस चीज को लोड करना है। ठीक है, तो ये वो स्टैंडर्ड कोड है जो हमें करने होते हैं। अब लाइक आई सेड, मैंने इन चीजों को माइनर डिटेल्स को डिस्कस नहीं किया। ठीक है, अज्यूमिंगली कुछ चीजें जावा की हैं, कुछ चीजें ऐसी हैं जो हमें बस करनी है, तो हमें बस पता नहीं चाहिए। ठीक है, बट इवेंचुअली आइडिया क्या मिला, हमारी एप्लीकेशन बन गई। आइडिया क्या मिला, मैंने बैक पे क्लिक किया जो बाय डिफॉल्ट बटन आता है, मेरी स्टूडेंट पे क्लिक किया, मेरी एप्लीकेशन बन गई। बहुत आला, जबरदस्त। मैंने यहाँ पे आके नाम दिया, मैंने यहाँ पे आके अपना रोल नंबर दिया। ठीक है, इसको कर देते हैं मिनिमाइज। इसी तरह से मैं फिर डिपार्टमेंट दे देंगे हम। इसी तरह से हम वैक्सीनेशन डेटा दे देंगे, जो भी नंबर होगा मेरा वैक्सीनेशन डेट का। मैंने वैक्सीनेशन नेम दे दिया, अगेन मैंने नंबर दे दिया, और मैंने सबमिट पे क्लिक किया। नाउ एज सून एज आई क्लिक ऑन सबमिट, अ थर्ड एक्टिविटी शुड लोड अप। सो लेट्स जस्ट गो इनटू दिस। तो बेसिकली यहां तक कोड समझ में आ गया। अब हमें इस कोड को डुप्लीकेट करना है। जब मैं इस भाई के बटन पे क्लिक करूं तो कुछ और हो, तो मैं आ जाऊंगा मेन एक्टिविटी के अंदर। मैंने कहा यार यहां से लेके यहां तक मनूस मारा, मैंने कोड तुम्हारा किया कॉपी, मेन एक्टिविटी में चले गए, ऑन क्रिएट के अंदर गए, यहाँ पे आने के बाद इसको पेस्ट मारा, सारी चीज वैसे के वैसे आ गई। सिर्फ ऊपर जो था हमने लिख देंगे BUTTUN बटन, बटन STUDENT स्टूडेंट, सेमीकोलन। ठीक है, इसने यहाँ पे वही लाइन दे दी, मैंने एरो पे क्लिक किया, अल्टर एंटर प्रेस किया, तो उसने उस क्लास को होपफुली ऐड कर दिया होगा बटन को। देखो मजे की बात, खुद ही सॉल्व। ठीक, उसके बाद यहाँ पर आ गए। अब उसने कह दिया कि भाई बटन स्टूडेंट है, तो बटन स्टूडेंट है, तो ये बटन स्टूडेंट मेरे पास तो है ही नहीं, ये कौन से बटन स्टूडेंट को ढूंढ रहे हो। हमने कहा सबर करो, XML में आ जाते हैं। सबमिट रिकॉर्ड पे गए, मैंने कहा यार इसकी आईडी जो है ना, बटन को चेंज कर दो, BTN SUBMID, सबमिट कर दिया मैंने। फिर मैं वापस एक्टिविटी जावा में गए, यस रिफैक्टर कर दो, इसको बटन सबमिट कर दिया हमने, होपफुली एरर गायब। सेम कोड, अब मुझे टोस्ट की वैसे जरूरत नहीं है, मैंने टोस्ट को कमेंट कर दिया // से। इंटेंट पे गए, लोड एक्टिविटी, न्यू इंटेंट, कौन सी एक्टिविटी लोड करनी चाहिए, अब हम उस पर आ जाते हैं। अगर ये बैक का बटन होता तो मैं एक्टिविटी कौन सी यूज करता, मेन एक्टिविटी डॉट क्लास। ठीक है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यहां पे इसको बना ही देते हैं, मेन एक्टिविटी डॉट क्लास, और अब इसको टोस्ट मैसेज भी डाल देते हैं, thank you for registering your data। स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक है क्या, ओके ठीक है, लेट्स जस्ट ट्राई दिस। तो इसको हमने रन किया, तो वही कोड है, सब चीजें वही हैं। बटन सेट ऑन क्लिक लिसनर, ऑन क्लिक लिसनर इज जस्ट लाइक a listener that we establish, means something that is listening to the events that occur. Okay, on click is an event, and there's give me an error, BS software registration BTN student is not supported की कहने पे हो भाई, इतना बड़ा एरर क्यों दे दिया। ओके, उसने कहा कि चेंजेस अप्लाई नहीं की हुई है, डज नॉट सपोर्ट वैल्यू इनिशियलाइजेशन, तो आपको बेसिकली करना क्या पड़ेगा कि इसको करना पड़ेगा बंद, बंद करके फिर खोलना पड़ेगा। कुछ चेंजेस ऐसी हैं इन एंड्रॉइड दैट आर नॉट डायरेक्टली अप्लाइड। ओके, फॉर दैट you need to close the Android, rerun the app, and then re-execute it, because we have changed the variable names, because we applied some additional code. So sometimes this thing happens. So what you need to do is you need to change that. And let it load. Wait a second. There we go. So I click on student, पेज आ गया, यहाँ पे नाम दे दिया मैंने अपना, ठीक है, रोल नंबर, डिपार्टमेंट, वेरिफिकेशन डेट, मैंने नेम दे दिया वैक्सीनेशन का, वैक्सीनेशन नंबर दे दिया, क्लिक ऑन सबमिट। थैंक यू फॉर रजिस्टरिंग योर डेटा एंड इट इज नाउ गोइंग बैक इनटू माय मेन पेज। मेरी ऐप बन गई, बहुत सिंपल सादा सी ऐप। स्टूडेंट पे क्लिक किया, ऐप बन गई। ठीक है, एक और हरकत इसमें वेरी क्विकली करते हैं, हमारे पास 4 मिनट बचते हैं। I can do the same thing. Let me create file. Let's just go into Java, right click and go inside new activity and let's just create a new basic activity. ठीक है, इसको हमने नाम दे दिया activity activity underscore thank you। ऐसे ही दिल कर रहा है, थैंक यू कर दिया हमने। ठीक है, फिनिश कर दिया। फिनिश कर दिया, बन जा। ठीक, so now let's just wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Finally it's back. Activity thank you is there. Again give it few seconds, जो रेड लाइंस आ रही हैं 2 सेकंड में गायब हो जाएंगी क्योंकि अभी तक उसको बना रहा है। So be patient with Android. Watch the bottom arrow, see this if there is some changes being occurring here or not. So that means it is still doing something. Don't worry suddenly कि सर एरर क्यों आ गया। थोड़ा सा सुकून से टाइम लो, उम्मीद है कि चंद लम्हों में ये एरर हमारे पास जो है ना गायब हो जाएगा। गायब हो जा भाई मेरे। And I'm getting so many errors for whatever purpose. If I go inside, एक मिनट, I think some mistake हो गई। Let me say delete। ठीक, मैं एक्टिविटी मेन को डिलीट कर दिया, डिलीट हो गई। Let's do it one more time. New activity, empty activity and activity activity underscore thnkyou thank you। ठीक, click on finish। Changes have been made to Android code registration in memory and on disk. Load file systems, keep memory changes. And here we go. Okay. So hopefully this time it should work fine because now I have activity thank you.xml and this thing. Now errors are gone. Okay. So I come back here. I think it's 2 is written because previously also it created the same file. So now I get a thank you email here. Again, I will do the same thing. I will go inside the constraint layout, or we can use a constraint layout for this particular purpose anyway, because I intend to do a very simple thing. So let's just create an image and drag and drop image here. Give it COVID banner and drag and drop this COVID banner here. Click on the blue icons for the constraints to take in place. Then let's go on to the text, click and drag and drop the text here. What I will do is I will increase, do this, click on, okay. So I hope this app activity is basically understandable. So we created these multiple pages, users, और हम इसकी तमाम activities को हमने create किया. Let me run it one more time. सो व्हाट वी डिड वाज हमने मैं थोड़ा सा रिकॉर्डिंग पर्पस के लिए, बिकॉज आई मिस्ड आउट द लेक्चर्स और वो सारे रिकॉर्ड नहीं हुए। ओके, तो उसको फिर हम थोड़ा सा कंप्लीट कर देते हैं यहाँ पे। तो हमने एक थैंक यू ऐप की भी एक्टिविटी बना दी थी, जिसके अंदर सिंपल कोविड का लोगो लगाया, थैंक यू एंड बैक किया। एंड इस बैक बटन के ऊपर भी हमने एंड में वही कोड लगाया कि सिंपल बटन के ऊपर जब यूजर क्लिक करे तो सेट ऑन क्लिक लिसनर इवेंट कॉल किया। ऑन दिस इवेंट लिसनर हमने व्यू ऑन लिसनर फंक्शन एक लाइव क्लास की एनोनिमस, और उसके थ्रू फिर हमने इंटेंट के थ्रू वापस मेन एक्टिविटी पे रिडायरेक्ट किया। सो वंस यूजर क्लिक ऑन दिस बटन इट विल रिडायरेक्ट अस टू द मेन इवेंट। सिमिलरली वी टुक द स्टूडेंट एक्टिविटी डिजाइन जो हमने ऑलरेडी बनाई हुई थी, we took the XML file, so we go inside the code and we copied all this XML code of creating the components. Okay, then here we created a new activity called activity teacher, and we go inside this activity teacher XML. Inside this we just created the same way, changed the layout to our linear layout, and then pasted the entire code again, the same student code, and removed the roll number content. So now I have two pages that exactly look like same. And then let's just change this to back to teacher. So we have a student activity design which has a student information. We have a teacher activity, and it only took us 2 seconds to create because we did student, we created a new blank activity, changed the linear layout, and then copied the entire code by going into XML, copy this entire code and paste it into the XML code of my Android. Again, student teacher activity, that's done. Then in student activity, we have already created a button, find the event button, and then use the intent to redirect to the end activity, which is this end button here, this end form. Same code then I just copied from this .java file, same code and pasted in .activity java for teacher code. So both are now pointing towards the same end file. And when they reach here, they again will go back. So my app now looks like this. I go inside the student, my student is working. I provide the data, click on submit record, तुम्हारा final screen आ जाएगी. Thank you very much for registering. I click on back, I come back to the main menu. I go inside the teacher. If he's a teacher, he will provide his data. Click on submit. Final app आ गई हमारे पास. ठीक है. इस पे ऊपर फिर back किया वापस चले गए. Now in next or in future class, maybe not this week, after that week, we will also do database connectivity. So using Android, how we connect with SQL Server or how we use Firebase. So what the idea would be that once you provide this data, you click on submit, the record is actually saved and connected with internet and saved on your database so that your record actually goes somewhere. Then also data validation needs to be performed here. Name is entered. If I click on now, see this blank data is there. So that should not happen. It should give me a warning. Please enter your name. Please enter your department. Vaccination date format should be correct. Name or your vaccination there and vaccination number should be there. So all this data should be validated before this submit button can actually send the data to the server and the thank you screen is there. So we will be working on this later on, but you can see this currently on the basis of a button, few events are already triggered. So I can use any of this event. Okay. So I hope this is explanatory. Middle part of this, a certain part of this lecture was not recorded, but you get the idea, follow it along, and hopefully it will be easy to follow. Basically the same copy paste approach was applied. हमने एक इमेज बनाई, फिर उसके ऊपर बटन के ऊपर इवेंट लगाया, वो दूसरी एक्टिविटी पे गया, फिर उस एक्टिविटी पे बटन लगाया, वो तीसरी एक्टिविटी पे गया, फिर उस पे बटन लगा के वापस मेन एक्टिविटी में हम आ गए. इस तरह से हम मल्टीपल एक्टिविटीज के ऊपर भी काम कर सकते हैं. ठीक है.